Hello, hello. Welcome to Novel Console, your weekly podcast where we talk about books, games, food, and stuff that caught our attention during the week. My name is Chris, and with me is my beautiful co-host and wife, Karradyne.
Hello.
What?
My voice cracked.
Your voice cracked. Okay, well, we have somebody here joining us today whose voice I hope doesn't crack. His name is Thrak. He is one of the members of the Codex Video Game History Podcast Discord, and apparently he's a huge JRPG fan. He actually suggested to do this episode with us, so blame him.
It's all your fault.
Well, I'm trying. I'm not a Burger Champ level of JRPG lover, but I've been dipping my toes. So
that's pretty good. Now, I did.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I did beat Yakuza Like a Dragon the other day. I finally beat it.
Okay, let me add that here because I need to talk about that because Karradyne won't talk to me about that.
Yes, we can talk about it all day. I put 86 hours into it.
Wow, that is a lot. I don't think I even hit 70, but then again, I just blazed through the entire story.
Yeah, the last time I put that much into a JRPG, it was Dragon Quest XI, and I put like 90 hours into that, and I'm still not done with it because there's like a whole post game with like time travel, and I did a bit of it, but I didn't do the whole thing. I need to go back to it, but I want to play all the other mainline Dragon Quests that I've missed. So
yeah, it's a lot.
That's another thing.
The retro game store that I buy from posted that they have 5 and 6 available for purchase. Somebody traded them in. 5 is $209. 6 is $130.
That's surprising. DS versions for both of them. Yeah,
DS versions. American.
Don't listen to me, Nintendo, but you can emulate those for free. That's what I did.
See, I don't want the viruses. Now, Karradyne, when's the last time you put a lot of hours into a JRPG?
Never. It's funny. I was going to say, listening to you gaming people talk about how many hours you put into something, I'm always like, damn, that's 2 weeks of work plus some. But then, like, I don't measure like how many hours I read. So I'm sure it's probably similar. It's just, I don't have any stats telling me how long I've sat there and read.
Does Kindle not give you like any stats of how long it's taken you to read a book?
Well, yeah, it does tell you like how it tells you your reading speed, but it's not something that I think about after I've finished it. Like, okay, cool, I'm done.
Yes, this book that takes everybody 1,000 hours to finish, I finished it in 5 minutes.
I don't pay any attention.
No.
I don't know.
Well, do you gauge books by like how many pages they are?
Yeah, I sort of.
Okay, because I figured that's similar.
To open it, I read it, I close it.
Yeah, somewhat. Now, before we continue, I do want to let everyone know, including Thrak, because I forgot to tell you before we started the show. Karradyne right now has the Super Bowl on her phone.
So if I get up to leave, it's because the Lord of the Rings trailer is on.
Or she might just stop the entire thing, put the volume on so that everybody can hear it, but then I'll have to cut that out.
Yeah, let's not do that.
And make it work. So, all right, let's go ahead and start with a couple of questions. First off, since we were on books, do you read any books, Thrak?
Sometimes.
Sometimes is better than no time.
Yeah, I'm not the best with keeping up with books. I have my bookshelf right over here, and one section of it is wall-to-wall books, and I've read, I'd say, about half of them.
Nice.
I tend to read more kind of like non-fiction-y stuff. Like, I'm really into autobiographies. With my favorite being, if you're asking, my favorite is probably Last Words by George Carlin. That is a fan. I'm a huge George Carlin fan, and so his autobiography, which they started writing, I think, in like the mid '80s, and they just kept updating it. So it ends with like the last thing he wanted to do before he passed, which was doing a one-man show on Broadway, but he never got to do it.
No.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see how his viewpoint on things changes and even reflects on where he was when the book started in like, say, like, I think it started in like the mid 80s. So by like the mid 90s, he's reflecting on how he was then and critiquing it in a way, which is very interesting, I think.
Nice.
But when But when it comes to, I guess, fiction, I have a huge soft spot for the Beat generation. So like Jack Kerouac, William S. Burroughs, Ginsberg, those weirdos. They're horrible.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's fine. Like I read On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which is a very popular Beat Generation book, and I really enjoyed it. And I've read some of the other like notable ones, like Naked Lunch and things like that. It's interesting because they're all like very hedonistic, but they try to pretend they're doing the spiritual Buddhism thing on top of it, which I find very interesting. Very much the opposite side of the 1950s that we're used to. So yeah, they're kind of horrible people, but in interesting ways. So,
That's all that matters. They're interesting.
now, Karradyne, have you read any
Exactly.
of those books?
No,
Did you know that those books were a thing?
No, I know like who Jack Kerouac is, obviously, but I can't say I've ever read anything about Jack Kerouac. Oops.
It's it for a lack of interest or trying? Or...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I would really enjoy.
Well, you've read
That's
stuff
fair.
that you...
You know, it's not alien porn or Jane Austen.
Yeah, it's not.
There are no ice
No
barbarians
dragons.
in this one.
No, damn.
No wieners either in those books. That's a shame.
No, there is sex though. There is some
Oh,
weird
okay.
sex shit that goes on, particularly in Naked Lunch. There's
Oh.
some weird sex shit that happens, but we're not going there.
No,
Not
please.
today. Not today. No.
For Patreon.
So we covered books. Now, what about games? I know you play games because you're the one that suggested this episode, and you're on the Codex Discord. So, what's your favorite game of all time?
Oh God. As I always say, I don't read books enough, and I play games too much. So there's that. With games, it's tough because I've been playing games ever since I was like, 4, maybe 5 years old. We had a Sega Genesis and an original NES in the house.
Nice.
In fact, what was interesting with how the Genesis was set up, in the living room, we had like this big wooden entertainment center that had a CRT in it. And then next to it was like a glass door for like a stereo system. And then there was a spot below the TV for like your VCR and like your Genesis. And then we had a drawer, and we opened the drawer and it was lined with boxed Genesis games, and then like other controllers and stuff. And all the NES stuff was just in a box off to the side. So we had the first 3 Sonic games, a bunch of sports games, because my family is very much into sports, and some other random crap here and there. But I grew up on Sonic, so I am unfortunately a Sonic fan.
Okay.
And I have to give a nod to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because to me that's sort of the peak of the franchise. Because the two of them by themselves are kind of but once you do the combo cart thing, it makes a lot of sense. And it's a very, very good 2D platformer. And I'm big into 2D platformers, Mario and all that good stuff. Some other notable games, I guess, we'll stay with Sega. I love the first 2 Shining Force games. Like it
Those
took me a
are
long.
RPGs.
They're tactical RPGs.
Tactical.
In a way, they're like Sega's Fire Emblem, kind of.
Okay. All right.
It took me a long time to get into turn-based RPGs, but like tactical ones made sense to me right away. It's like, oh, it's like chess. You're just moving your pieces around.
Yeah.
And so the first 2 were big up there for me. I'm a huge fan of Half-Life 2. That's a fantastic game that I wish Valve would acknowledge.
I can't play any of the Half-Lives. It's something about the engine that just makes me violently ill.
Oh, Source 2?
Man, it just makes me want to throw up all over the place. I played 2 up until the point where you leave Raven home and you get on the hover boat.
Yeah.
And I was out. No more. I couldn't do it anymore.
That's interesting.
Dude, yeah.
I've never heard
It's
that
really
before.
bad.
Yeah.
So Karradyne, he said that that there's 2 cards for Sonic. So there's Sonic, I think 3, right? And then the add-on is Sonic and Knuckles, which is a separate card that you would put 3 on top to be able to play as Knuckles. And then you can use that on Sonic 2, and you would be able to play as Knuckles on Sonic 2. So it'd be like a cartridge that you buy to play your cartridge on. on your Sega.
What?
It was called a lock-on cartridge. The reason they did that was Sonic 3 was supposed to be the whole game, but due to development time and cartridge space, they couldn't do the full thing. So they had to separate it and save Knuckles as a playable character for Sonic and Knuckles. And so they did the whole lock-on thing, which the lock-on thing was very unlicensed technology that like Wisdom Tree would use. So you could play like, their Doom clone where you play as Noah on the Super Nintendo, shit like that. So having it be made by an official company was very interesting. And as far as I know, is the only official like lock-on stuff. But it makes the game make sense.
I have never seen it, but I have seen videos of people using it. And the other game that he talked about, the Doom clone with Noah's Ark, is this Christian company decided to develop a game where you play as Noah capturing the animals to put into the Ark, and they used the Doom engine for you to shoot stuff at the animals that would make them fall asleep.
It's called Super 3D Noah's Ark.
Oh dear.
You can buy it on Steam.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
And I have it.
Oh dear.
I played it, and it is a trip. It's fascinating.
That's one interesting way to describe it. That sounds man.
It sounds pretty bad. And I've seen gameplay of it, and it looks
as bad as it sounds.
Yeah. And like
I like things that are bad, but in like a fascinating way. Like, why does this exist? What purpose does this have? But it's so interesting. I just have to try it, you know?
Now, from there we go on to food. What's your favorite food and from where?
Oh, that's tough. Food. I mean, I guess I could just keep it easy and just say I like pizza a lot. That's just an easy answer. Though I've in the last couple years I've had what I call like a sushi renaissance, where I've really been getting into sushi. Because like I work at like a chain grocery store, but they have like a sushi bar, and usually like twice a month I'll go get some sushi for lunch, and it's surprisingly good. I usually just get like a tuna roll, because if I get a salmon roll, my stomach feels like it's going to blow up. Like a tuna roll for some reason fits better in the system. So don't go to the gym after a salmon roll.
Oh dear.
Probably they just take like the prepackaged frozen salmon, just thaw it, put it on rice, let people eat it.
Oh my god.
Oh, probably.
Oh man,
like I'm not really like a foodie kind of thing. I like what I like. I don't know. I find drinks more interesting, I guess. But
okay, so let's go with that. What's your favorite drink?
I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but I love like plain Perrier, like the mineral sparkling water. Yes.
Oh, what? You drink electric water? What's wrong with you?
Static water.
Electric, static, whatever.
It makes me feel alive.
Oh my goodness!
It's an acquired taste. It's very much
to say the least.
But there's some about it that I don't know. I like it as like a treat kind of thing. I had one before I came on here. It's good.
Good for you.
My mom is probably going to be listening to this, drinking one at the same time and agreeing with you that it's amazing.
I cringe every time she orders it.
Shout out to your mom.
I don't get
it. Which one was it that you gave me the other day, Kayla?
Oh yeah, so my friend, she bought a bunch of the bubbly flavored sparkling waters, but the flavor, it's just like, how did she describe it? It's like you have sparkling water in the room with some oranges. So like,
yes,
a drop of orange in your sparkling water. It was blueberry and pomegranate, and you looked like you were going to die.
Like I took a sip of it, and I felt like a computer must feel every time you do a hard reset.
Yes. Well, I'm secretly a computer, so it's nice to get the hard reset. Yeah.
Now.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So because hard drugs don't do anything to you because you're a computer, you have to resort to water.
Oh yeah. Vodka isn't enough, man. I need the Perrier.
Yeah, man. These computers are taking over everything. Now, before we get into Yakuza, you brought a sex toy for Karradyne to look at.
Oh my god.
Now,
Why?
I actually forgot I did this.
you did this
What
earlier in the
the
week.
fuck is that?
These are
Those are nipple clamps, aren't they?
Yep,
They're baby hands.
baby hands.
They are like little cherub hands.
Look at that. Look at how they move.
You could go to jail for child pornography looking at those things.
Look at that. That one's got like a closed fist, and every time it closes, it just looks like it's punching the other open hand.
When you miss lactating.
Why is this a thing?
No.
Why? They're literal baby
Look at
hands.
that one. That's
What
like-
is that?
That's like Mickey holding onto your nipple.
Oh, why did you say that? Those are Mickey gloves. What the fuck? That is messed up. That is so wrong. Mickey Mouse, you poor little thing.
Look at that. It has painted
Oh,
nails.
those are literal baby hands. Those are like deformed hands. Oh,
Look at
my
that.
God.
Those are like my hands when I was a baby. Those are big, fat, and brown.
Oh God. No,
It's a small world after all.
Yeah.
No beatings on a dime. What?
Beatings on a dime. What?
What?
the hell? So,
Doll hand nipple clamp.
sex toy for women, nipple sex toy, unique BDSM fetish gift, breastplay, nipple play, kink toy, BDSM nipple.
Some baby BDSM.
BDSM,
Oh, boy.
BDSM nipple.
So see, I find that term sexist because what's to say a man can't enjoy nipple play?
Right?
I mean, well, the sex toy for woman, then yeah, but
Yeah.
the rest of them, they're kind of, universal. But,
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. All
so
about
if we-
inclusivity.
exactly. So they're
It's just
$9.50
for
a piece.
nipples. We don't have to specify who the nipples belong to.
So they're $9.50 a piece from Etsy, and if we order now, we could get them by February 17th or the 18th.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
So
They're close by.
yeah,
You
so
they
I
have
get it
anything
before I
else
get my
freaky?
Game Boy Micro.
Oh,
exactly. So
we don't have to look at the rest of their shop, but I am curious. Maybe later.
to look into the rest and see what else they have.
Yeah.
They have a vinyl flogger. That shit must hurt like a
Oh
motherfucker.
dear.
They have a foam baseball bat. And oh my gosh. They have a stick, a metal stick with a bunch of paper clips just like chained together, forming a flogger.
What the fuck?
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
What is that thing on the far left?
On the far left?
Yeah.
Yeah, more baby clamps.
Oh. Oh no.
It says the review says exactly as pictured and pinches hard. So excited to order again.
Oh my god.
What, do you want it to pinch
Okay.
soft?
Oh.
I love them. I didn't realize that some of the clamps are different sizes, so I had a mismatched pair, but otherwise they're great.
Oh dear. Okay.
My
okay.
god,
that's
these
enough.
reviews.
We don't need any more of this. That's fine.
So
You
what?
can close out of it.
So
now.
Karradyne, what do you think of the nipple hands before we continue?
Oh my god, it's still not as creepy as the jankle or the eggs and the face hugger shit,
The alien egg thing.
but it's still pretty horrifying.
Yeah, it is pretty awful.
Why you nipple
yeah.
clamps gotta look like hands? Just use clamps.
Why
Or
won't
just
they?
use your
Use a
or use your
clothes
partner's
hanger.
hands.
There
The
you go.
partner's hands,
That
right?
too. Yep.
I mean, yeah, but maybe
Ugh.
the partner doesn't, so
They're
they have
not
to
tiny enough.
had- they have to resort to something else.
Oh,
Okay.
You're with the drummer from Def Leppard, and the other hand's busy.
oh my god.
Now, Yakuza, tell me, Yakuza
Yeah.
Like a Dragon. This is your first Yakuza, as far as I know, right?
Yes. Now, I want to preface that I've known about this series for a very long time because my best friend, he's been playing them since I think the third one. And he, like just about everybody I know who plays Yakuza, is obsessed with it and can't shut the fuck up about it. And
Yeah.
he was one of them. And it honestly made me hate the series because he was just always talking about it. And I remember I played a little bit of one of them. I forget which one it was. It was the one where there's a mini game where you can like go into like an office and participate in like a sex hotline, essentially. As like a mini game.
It's I don't want to say, I think it's Zero.
Okay,
Yes.
sure.
It
I'll
might-
trust you.
A few of them do have it because I know that they took that out of 6, but instead of a phone sex line, you get like a campsite where you have like a real model on the screen doing stuff, and you're like hitting the buttons in order as they pop out. So Kiryu can type like in all caps like suggestive messages, like nice boobs in all caps, and the girl is like responding to like his aggressive, things that he's saying. It's so fucking
Hero
ridiculous.
cannot give a compliment.
No.
But I played the one Yakuza game no Yakuza fan likes to talk about, and that's Dead Souls, the zombie one.
Yeah, I had never.
There's a zombie Yakuza game.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I have never played that, and I don't think I ever will. Now,
so with this one, I got into it after I got into Dragon Quest. I beat 5 Dragon Quest games in 1 year, so I could say I'm a fan. In
Jesus
any case,
Christ.
Some of them are short, and I heard this Like a Dragon was, they're just ripping off Dragon Quest, and I'm like, interesting. And I watched a couple scenes, and I was really into what I was seeing, because the one scene that hooked me, it was Ichiban and Namba. They like just got into the house, and Ichiban's telling Namba about how he wants to be a hero, like in Dragon Quest. And Namba's just laughing his ass off about it. And Ichiban's like, dude, what the hell? And I fell for it right then. So I'm like, there's something here. So I literally got Game Pass to try it. And after playing through it, I gotta say, it might be my favorite RPG I've ever played. And like,
it's so fucking
honestly,
good.
it might be a top 10 of all time. Like,
yeah,
I was amazed at how much I liked it.
Now, the ending, I usually, I enjoy game endings where they're done right, but this is like the only game in a very long time where I've actually felt something in the ending. And I was just sitting on the couch, just like holding on to it, breathing heavily so that I wouldn't cry. And Karradyne walks in, and she's like, "You're fucking crying? You didn't cry at our wedding, and you're crying over this stupid ass game?"
I was pretty mad. Not gonna lie.
I mean, that ending is something. Like, I did tear up, but I spent a good chunk of it with literally like my jaw like on the floor, just watching everything, especially that one moment before the credits. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it because it's still a new game, but it's like one moment that like it comes out of nowhere and I'm like, holy shit. And then the credits roll and I'm just like, and I'm literally like wiping tears, like, what the hell was that? And then I knew there was the post credits, and I watched the post credits, and that put me back. I was like, okay, I feel better. But now I'm just like, I need to know what happens next. Like what is Ichiban's story now? Like,
yeah,
where's this gonna go? I have some ideas, but I don't want to say it because they might spoil the ending.
Yeah, we'll save that for some other episode because man, I really want to unpack that game and just get into everything. Yakuza is usually a story that's they tell stories that are usually serious, but they do the funny stuff in between with the cutscenes and the side missions and whatnot. But I don't think that any Yakuza up until this one has gone as dark as this game has. Especially when you take into consideration how society is in Japan, when you have these very strict gun laws, and you just have like moments where people just like pull up to 2 random Yakuza and just gun them down in the middle of the street, and they're just killing people left and right for no reason at all, and just having no remorse over it. It's so dark and so good.
And it's interesting because in this game, guns aren't really used that much.
No, they're pretty much just used in the cutscenes.
Yeah, and one thing I love about Ichiban is that he refuses to use them, and he's very much by honor. Like, he's a very honor system kind of guy, except for one little part. But and I love that about him. And when I started playing it, just this phrase kept hitting me with Ichiban, and that he's loyal to a fault.
Yep.
And it sticks with it the whole game. He's a guy you'd want in a foxhole with you because he knows he's got your back. But if you're in a foxhole, keep that perm down, buddy. Like, take the shrub off.
Yeah, the thing is, he just at the end of the game, he just embraces the whole thing and just keeps the hair instead of chopping it off.
Thank goodness. It's iconic at this point.
Yeah, it is. Like, at the end of the game, I'm like, I cannot see him with any other type of hairstyle.
Mm-hmm. And I think what sucked me in with Yakuza is, as you said, it's such a dark main story. with all this weird shady stuff going on, but it's interlaced with, this one guy who's in his underwear who can't feel pain and he's begging you to feel pain, or the guy who's like covered in bubbles saying, oh, I ran out of the soap land, help me get some clothes, or fighting a sumo wrestler because he's fighting a tree because it has the same structural integrity as his partner who's not dead but he's acting like he's dead. It's ridiculous, man. But
it's so funny.
I loved it.
It's very,
I loved
very
it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to play any other Yakuza games because I know how like Kiryu is compared to Ichiban. I'm like, I don't know, but I think I'll try like Zero in the future. I'm good for right now. Like I feel Yakuza out. So
Zero is good. Kiwami 1 is not great. 2 is really good. I've never played 3, and I'd absolutely love 4. But in 4, you have 4 different protagonists you can use. And apart from that, they delve deeper into Majima's story.
Mm-hmm.
And Akiyama, you get to learn more about Akiyama, how he became rich, how he lost his fortune, how he got rich again, how he lost it again. 4 is really good. I really, really like 4. 5 I've never played, and 6 is really good too. So I would say most of them have this the story so far kind of feature where you can see everything that happened in the previous game, and that way you're caught up to start the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And some small elements transfer from game to game in story-wise, but most of them are pretty much just self-contained stories.
Yeah, which is part of what made 7 so easy to get into, because it didn't, for the most part, didn't really have any baggage from the other games. And you didn't need to know what happened to get it.
Yeah.
But is the issue with Kiwami 1, is it that it's like a remake? Because I know it's...
Yeah.
So is the original the better version?
No, the original.
It's just not a good game.
The original, it's good. It's just very dated. They literally took the PlayStation 2 game, remade the graphics, and put in new dialogue in Japanese, because the original PS2 Yakuza 1 game had English voice acting. It's one of the games with the most cussing ever, and one of the bad Majima is played by Luke Skywalker. So that
Mark Hamill, I've heard about that, which feels weirdly fitting.
It's weirdly fitting, but it's very weird when you think about it. And that's the Joker playing a character that's like the Japanese Joker. Basically. So it's very, very weird.
So is like the original Yakuza, is it closer to like Shenmue? Because I've heard that it kind of was birthed out of the death of that series. I like Shenmue 1 for all of its weird quirks, but I'm a Sega guy. Sorry, I like Sega.
I mean, I wouldn't fault you. The first game that I ever played was Sonic on Sega. So, all right. So that's enough for the intro. So let's go ahead and get in some book talk. Are you ready, Karradyne?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So this is book talk.
This week's book is Chrono Trigger, Boss Fight Books number 2 by Michael P. Williams. It was published on, let me see here, April 1st, 2014 by Boss Fight Books. I listened to the audiobook, and I gotta say, for someone who has not played the game and is not a gamer, it is a very confusing experience. I was very lost most of the time. Thankfully, with the Patreon episodes, I was able to grasp at least like some things. And I thought like, okay, I'm going to be really honest. I was very, very bored most of the time. But I did think that things like when he touches on like the racial elements of the game, and like some people like don't really even have a race, and then like some of the monsters do sort of have a race. I was kind of lost, but still pretty interesting. What else intrigued me the most? The there was this whole bit about how it's like really cool to see female characters who have a purpose and are strong, but they're also still not the main characters. They're still overshadowed by all of our main male characters. And you didn't finish reading the book.
No, I stopped at like page 11. I wasn't able to pick it up. My plan was to read it all day, but I obviously wasn't able to finish the game until today.
How dare you?
I know, right?
I finished both of these weeks ago.
To be fair, he did. Well, that's not even to be fair. Shame on you. He read those 11 pages a month ago in an Uber on the way to a wedding.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful wedding.
It was an amazing wedding.
And then you never picked it up again.
Yeah, because I was dealing with the game, and on top of that, I have to keep notes about the game, everything that's going on for the Patreon episodes. So,
yeah, the book is very interesting. It's a very interesting way of analyzing a game from, like, as Karradyne mentioned, all these different angles, you know, racial and political, and even bringing in the author's own life experiences, like traveling to Japan and all that stuff. It's a very interesting way of looking at it. I feel the book has a little bit of an issue with focus, and that I think the second half, it kind of loses what it's trying to do, but it's still a very interesting book that I really enjoyed. In fact, I read through it all the way through, and then I started reading it again and got about halfway before I put it down again.
A pro.
When I commit, I commit. But yeah, I did like the book.
Commitment.
I did like the book. Though I've read another book in the boss fight series on Bible adventures, and I like that book a lot more because that was essentially just a history of Wisdom Tree. But I really liked that. It was a very, very interesting book. But it's still a good book. I like this book, but I don't think it's more of like a companion to the game. Like, this doesn't replace playing the game. But if you've played the game and then read the book, it might make you look at things differently. Yeah. And I actually didn't know about there's a part where he talks about the paintings Japanese citizens made about Hiroshima.
Yes.
I forget the context off the top of my head, but he talks about that. And I actually looked up the images, and they were very, like, striking. Right. The kind of stuff, because it was not like professional. Yeah, it's not professional artists. It's very like amateur painting, but it's very like gritty and raw, and you can sense the pain that is coming out of the art, you know.
Because in that bit, didn't he relate like the creation of Godzilla to Lavos? Something about Godzilla and Lavos being.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because
I know Godzilla was like a direct result of Hiroshima, right? Like them coming up with that character. Or was
Godzilla was a response to Hiroshima because Godzilla was in 1954, and the whole idea was like, oh, what if a nuclear explosion does even worse by like creating a giant monster that destroys everything. Right. And the first Godzilla is incredibly dark. They treat it very seriously. It's like a natural disaster movie. And it surprisingly holds up. I'm a bit of a Godzilla fan. So it holds up. Yeah.
You need to be besties.
See, it's not my favorite Godzilla movie, but the original is pretty iconic, I think. See, the Japanese version. The American version is
I have Godzilla sitting on top of the computer, and I have like 4 Godzillas in the back there on my Funko Pops, and I have this one right here sitting next to the TV.
Yeah, he's cute.
Godzilla's everywhere.
Awesome. We love Godzilla in this household. He's like, oh, Godzilla energy drink.
Ooh,
look at that.
Do you feel like a giant lizard?
I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Yeah. We're saving it for a special episode, and we don't know when that's going to be or what's going to be.
And a Godzilla candy bar, but it's not in here.
Yeah, that thing's probably
inedible at this point. Yeah. Just save it.
I know this is off topic, but what's your favorite Godzilla movie?
Holy shit! The original Godzilla versus King Kong.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a weird ass movie.
Yeah, it is. It's very weird. The fucking giant octopus fight between Kong and the octopus, that shit was super weird. Like, I never understood why that happened, but it happened.
Yeah, that movie is very 1962. Is that when it came out? 62, I think.
That's a good question. Let me check. I know
it was early 60s.
Yeah.
I know it was the return of both monsters because they had been dormant for like a couple years, like both of them.
Oh.
So
And-
the
and-
original
and-
63.
Okay, and I know Toho did a sequel for Kong called King Kong Strikes Again, where he fights Robot Kong, and that's a lot of fun.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen stills of that, and wow, that Robot Kong looks awful. Now I may
Oh,
care
yeah.
and watch Final Wars, and while we were watching, I was like, this is a shitty Godzilla movie to put somebody through as their first one.
Is that the one I fell
Yes.
asleep
Yeah.
for? Okay.
Yeah, that
no.
movie. That's like an ADHD Godzilla movie. Shit is just happening every second, and like you have
There was
humans
way
fighting.
too much.
Yeah, ninjas. Like you have Japanese.
Plus, you gotta follow
Godzilla.
subtitles.
Yeah,
And
though I do,
Yeah.
I do like when Japanese Godzilla throws like Zilla, American Godzilla, into the Sydney Opera House and blows them up. That was fun.
And the best part is that Sum 41 is playing in the background while that's
Oh
happening.
yeah, and it weirdly fits.
Yeah.
It makes sense for some reason. But yeah, that movie is I mean, the whole 2000s Godzilla era is a trip anyway.
Yeah, no.
Like-
Although Godzilla 2000, if I recall, was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was like Toho's response, quote unquote, to the 98 American one.
Yeah.
But I liked the monster in 2000. I forget its
That
name,
was
but it was sort of
Space
like
Godzilla.
no, that was in 95. But I know for 2000, it was some weird like giant egg thing or something, and it tries to swallow Godzilla whole. Like I remember that much, but
There's an egg that tries to eat Godzilla.
Yes, the Chrono Trigger. Didn't you read the book?
What the fuck? Don't even.
No, I gotta make you watch it. I gotta find a good Godzilla movie and make you watch
No,
it.
I'm
'cause
done. I don't need to see any more Godzilla movies unless they're coming to theaters because they're new.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
need to see any of those old
But-
things.
but you did like-
honestly, I think with like the 90s era is actually like
Yeah.
solid.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'd recommend maybe like Godzilla versus Mothra, because Mothra is a very popular Godzilla monster. But my
think you might
favorite
like that.
my favorite Godzilla movie is Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from like 92, because that well, 'cause-
no, that's
I like that one because it introduces Mecha Ghidorah, because like Godzilla is fighting, like Godzilla's causing destruction, and they're like, oh, King Ghidorah, he'll stop him, and Ghidorah stops him. But then Ghidorah is going nuts, and so they're like, we need to revive Godzilla to take him out. And then he takes him out, and Godzilla's destructing again. They're like, God, what do we do? We're in this loop. So they make Mecha Ghidorah because Godzilla rips off one of the heads, and so they make a robot one and give him robot stuff, and it's ridiculous, but I love it. I love it to
it's
death.
so great. That you cared, and you like the new ones, right? The one with Bryan Cranston
Yeah,
and Bonnie
I-
Millie Brown.
I enjoyed them. I like the big boom action bits and the crazy dude. The crazy dude was funny.
The black dude.
Yeah. The one with the podcast.
The one with the podcast.
I liked him. He was cool.
No,
That hits
Um,
way too close to home, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, crazy dude talking about putting Clorox in the water. That sounds something like I would do in my free time.
Turn the
now-
frog gay.
Turn the freaking frogs gay.
Do you understand that? The freaking frog. Okay. Sorry. I'm distracted by Matthew McConaughey
beautiful.
on my silent phone.
Now, which one of those movies was your favorite,
Wait, which one of the Godzilla movies?
Yeah, the new
oh, man,
ones,
we're so
including
far
Kong.
off topic.
including Kong?
Oh shit. Maybe. Oh, I don't know.
And I know it's definitely not King of the Monsters, because there's like a sacrifice every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't with that. I could not. I was very over it by the end of the movie. They made all the sacrifices not mean anything anymore at that point. Maybe the one before that.
The first one, the one with
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston,
Yeah.
where Godzilla shoots the laser into the Muto's mouth.
Yeah. And I liked the Kong movie with the pianist dude.
With
No, he's not in that.
no, it's Loki.
It's not pianist dude.
It's Loki.
I know, but isn't the pianist is not in it?
No,
too?
that's the Peter
Adrian
Jackson.
Brody or whatever his name is. Oh, he's in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like that one. That one scared me. It gave me nightmares. You know, Loki, him, Tom Hiddleston, like that one.
All right, so tell me more about Chrono Trigger, because we're just gonna keep talking about Godzilla if we don't
Oh God.
throw
Yeah,
this back.
please.
Now, let me see. I'm looking here at your notes, and
Oh yeah, tell me what I wrote, because I got Super Bowl on silent here, so I can't see my notes.
so you said right here that Aragorn and Narsil are mentioned.
Oh yeah, he makes a couple Lord of the Rings references.
That he
I don't
does.
remember why Aragorn and Narsil were mentioned, but I was like, ooh, Lord of the Rings, yay. And then Lord of the Rings was brought up again in the race conversation because everybody in Lord of the Rings was white.
And that's why people are mad now at this Lord of the Rings show.
That, I mean, yeah, people are racist. It's terrible. It's sad.
Well, yeah, he talks about how like Tolkien is essentially creating like a modern like mythology, and in creating this mythology, it's like white European ethnocentric kind of thing.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it probably
that is,
wasn't
the
like,
exact
and it
thing
probably
he said.
Yeah, I don't think it was like explicit. It's just that's just what they knew. They didn't know any better.
Right.
But
Exactly.
with changing times, things just get different, you know. So.
Exactly.
But with he didn't compare Aragorn to Chrono, did he?
I don't
think so.
remember.
I think it might have been
Is Aragorn-
Frog and the Sword.
Oh yeah, maybe.
That sounds about right. Gosh, that was
Because I
when
remember the
was-
Aragorn thing, but it went over my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was maybe with Frog. Maybe.
Okay, so I understand the comparison of Aragorn and Frog with Narsil and the Masamune. Now, the thing that throws me off completely is that the Masamune is usually a Japanese sword of legend. And in this game, it's a Western style sword called the Japanese name. So I don't know if it tracks for any of you that's just odd.
Well, I think that's because there's a quote from, I think it's Toriyama in this book, where he talks about the idea of Chrono Trigger not being so Japanese centric, and that part of the appeal of Chrono Trigger, and by extension maybe some of the other like even like Dragon Quest, is that it's not rooted in Japanese culture. It's rooted in more kind of like just traditional fantasy stuff, which even like Japanese people know about. So
Yeah,
it kind of helps it appeal more broadly. So
to everybody.
yeah, even though everybody looks super anime, but
Yeah, no, they're all Dragon Ball people with just futuristic and past weapons.
yes.
Looking more at your notes, you said here that Ayla turns the sex level up to fuck.
Yeah, that was the exact thing
Oh
he
yeah.
said.
There's also another quote where he's doing the copy game with like the Chrono in the carnival, and he said when he tried so many times he threw the controller and called the game a goddamn fuck whore.
Yes, I put that in there somewhere. I know I did. It was way before the Ayla note. It was back like
it's in
towards
like
the
chapter
beginning.
1, I think.
Yeah, it's
Chapter 1 or 2.
early
It's
on.
very early on. And
That made me laugh out loud.
I chuckled too. That was a good line.
was
Especially
great.
the authors when he says it, like he just says it like it's just nothing. Like,
Yes.
He doesn't emphasize it. It's all it's great.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
So let me see here. You said, isn't Ayla the one you call your waifu? Yes, Ayla was my favorite party character. And she was
That's
also
why
my
you call
waifu.
her your waifu. Everybody apparently thinks she's sexy.
No, I actually like that she was the strongest character in my whole party. So
That makes her
she-
sexier.
she was my tank. Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
She can keep my
Ayla
ass
no
alive.
need weapons. Ayla no
Exactly.
need weapons. Only punch.
Yep.
Oh god.
Ayla no lose. You Lavos lose. Lavos leave.
And I know I said something like towards the end there about the reptites that made me like, what?
Oh, so you said that the reptites fuse with Lavos?
Yeah, there's something that, yeah.
N-
It said something about a reptite fusing with Lavos later on to become like some ultimate boss or something. Did I imagine that? Surely I didn't.
I think it's the queen.
Of the reptites or
But
no?
She's not
No?
she's not a reptide, but there is like
No?
that queen at the end of the game who's trying to merge with Lavos to be very powerful. I forget her name off the top of my
Right.
head, but
She didn't have a name.
she's
Her name is
Oh.
Queen.
yeah, she's just
Oh. Oops.
might as well be.
Just
So okay,
Just like
maybe when
Chrono's
he was
mom.
saying the queen, maybe I thought that since we just said something about reptites that we were talking about like a queen reptite. I don't know.
I see.
Could be.
I was lost
It
the
could
whole
be.
time I was listening to this.
This game, I love this game, but it's so inconsistent. The first bit of inconsistency that I found is that when you start the game, Chrono's mom is just called Chrono's mom, or whatever you name Chrono mom.
Poor Chrono's mom.
Chrono. Good morning, Chrono.
Okay, let me see here. You said something about weed is criminalized as much as heroin in Japan.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't remember why he said that, but yes.
Oh, I think he was talking about like drug use and like censorship, because the Japanese
Yes.
version, like they go like the whole Ayla thing is a drinking contest instead of like a soup contest, but they censored it for the Western audiences. And it goes into like how Nintendo liked to censor things a lot from Japan over to the States, and that continued even through the Super Famicom era. So
See,
I know
I
there
think
was a
that
bit
might
of
have
that.
been that might have been a Super Nintendo thing, because it is explicitly said in the DS version that it's called Skull Smash because in the morning you feel like your skull was smashed, and it's
Oh yeah, they
it-
loosened up.
yeah, it's a straight up drinking game where you actually have to drink. Now, the one for the adventure where you have to pour the bottle over his grave, that one is still soda in the DS version, but
Mhm.
it's obviously alcohol. Like, who you're gonna pour soda over somebody's grave?
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would pour some Diet Dr. Pepper over my mother's grave when she dies because she loves Diet Dr. Pepper. And she's going to listen to this episode and be offended that I said that.
Please go for the regular.
No, diet. Always diet.
No, these people, they like diet. It's weird.
We do not drink regular
I don't
soda.
get diet. I don't get diet.
I do
soda.
not get regular soda. It's too sweet. It's terrible.
Let me see. And then the last thing you have here is the inflation. That inflation doesn't exist even across time periods. What?
Wait, what?
You wrote inflation.
That is
doesn't
true.
exist?
Yeah. Yeah, he talks about how like all of your items or whatever cost the same thing in every time period that you go to.
So,
There's no inflation.
so that happens when you're selling
That's
items.
true.
But when you're buying them, they do change prices.
Oh, well, I don't
But
know.
that's
I'm just
depending
listening
on
to
the
what
store,
Michael P.
not the
Williams
time
says.
period.
Really?
That's depending on the store and
There
not
you
the
go.
time period.
There you go.
Because if I remember correctly, the cheapest store is in the future with like the best items. Like,
Because that makes sense.
well, because it's a dystopian where like the bomb's gone, everything's dead, but somebody's
I
still
see.
selling like herbs in a shop. You know?
Yeah, they're
Bless.
like selling their stuff and they're like, oh, shiny coins. Maybe I can use that later on in the future. Like they have hope that they can have an economy at some point.
Oh, dear.
But then again, they're all starving to death. All right. So, Karen,
Christian.
what did you think about the book, and give me a rating?
Oh, God. I was really bored. Oh, God, I was so bored. I feel so bad saying this. So
No,
can I give it
be
like
honest.
can I give it a how do I want to word this? My personal rating, but then like an also how do I want to say this?
If
What
you-
I feel like it probably deserves, but how I felt about it.
Okay.
Okay,
All
how I felt about it was like 2 stars because I was so fucking bored. What I feel it deserves is maybe like a 3.5. I did notice that it had just, I think it was only in double digits reviews on Goodreads, and it has pretty poor average out of that double digit review group. Yeah, I think it said like 79
Yeah,
reviews,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's not the most beloved of the boss fights books. I've heard some of the others are a lot better. And from reading the Bible Adventures book, I liked that a lot more. So it was nice that this had a book, but I think, as I said, I think it just has a little bit of lack of focus and it's just a bit all over
Right.
the place. Because one
Especially
really
when
cool
it-
thing about the
Mhm.
one really cool
You go-
thing about
you go
the
first.
book is it's okay. He got to interview the original SNES and DS translators, Ted
Mhm.
Woolsey, who did the Super Nintendo version, and I forget who did the DS one, but he interviewed them separately and pretty much had his email conversations in the book. And that was honestly my favorite part, because like he would ask Ted Woolsey about why he did the weird things that he would do, and you know, because Ted Woolsey is known for his SNES like translations because they're very weird, and he's just known for that.
because he's the guy. If you've ever played Final Fantasy 4 or 2, the whole "you spoony bard" infamous line, that was him. He came up with that.
Okay, I
So
remember that.
yeah,
What were you gonna say, Karradyne?
I was actually going the same route, but opposite take. I was really, really lost and not invested anymore when we got to the translator bit. I was like, nope, I don't care anymore. I don't want to listen to this. How much longer? Yeah.
If you're not into Chrono Trigger, it's not going to change your mind.
No.
See, it was weird because I was just sitting there trying to fight Lavos because I had to fight the last 2 Lavos fights like 3 times before I finally got the hint. Oh, you're supposed to keep killing them before you can actually kill the one that you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. And I just kept seeing like notifications popping up on my phone from her writing her thoughts on the Discord. And I'm like, what? It's like, what the fuck is she talking about?
You didn't finish the damn book.
And then I'm like, oh, she's talking about the book.
Duh.
Yeah, no, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until afterwards. Now, Thrak, your rating.
Let's see. Out of 5, I'll probably go 3, maybe 3.5. Because I thought
we're close.
See, I thought the content was mostly good and it was a very interesting read, but as I said, it's kind of lack of focus, and it felt a bit self-indulgent at times from the writer.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would go a little too much into detail about his personal experiences. Like, it's fine, but I think a few times it's just like, I get it. You went to Japan. Cool. You like the Game Boy Advance, me too. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I think it could be trimmed down. If you trimmed the book down a little bit, I think it'd be a solid 4-star.
No, I'm gonna keep that in mind because I am planning on reading it. I'm probably gonna read it after we're done with everything, and I'm just.
I was about to say you might as well finish reading it, especially
like
right after you play it.
It's not a long read.
Mm-mm.
The audiobook was only like 3 hours. So
yeah, very, very short.
Interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and get in some games and stuff. All right, so for this week's game, we have Chrono Trigger. Well, everybody should know that already. I mean, the episode is called Thrak and Chrono Trigger.
And all of our Patreon episodes for the past couple weeks have been
we've been
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. So the game was originally released on March 11, 1995 for the Super Nintendo. It is a Japanese role-playing game in which you take the role of Chrono and you help him and his friends save the world from an evil space monster called Lavos, which in Ayla's tongue means big fire.
Big fire.
Yep. La is big, Vos is fire. So I still think that's pretty clever. Now, where do we start? I have no notes other than the story that I've had to write
for
down.
Patreon. Definitely try to say things that you haven't already said in Patreon. Talk about your feelings.
Well, this game is when was 1995? Like 25 years ago, more or less. 30 years ago.
like 26, I think.
Okay, see that
20 something.
So if you haven't played
if you want to feel old, when this game came out, I was not 1 year old yet.
Holy
my
shit.
God, you're a baby.
Yep.
I was 4 years old when it came out.
FML.
Yeah.
No, you were.
I was 4 years
5.
old. No, I was 5 in July of 95.
Oh,
I was 4.
I was
So
3.
So if you haven't played this game by now, like I didn't, we're gonna spoil the whole thing probably. And I had spoiled the whole game for myself by watching a Pro Jared video a long time ago.
Was it back before he got in trouble?
Yeah, way back before he got in trouble.
But now he's okay.
Allegedly.
In trouble, in quotations. He was temporarily in trouble.
See, you know what's sad about that case is that he got in trouble. People were like, okay, fine.
Cancel him.
People were like, okay, fine, we forgive you. Just don't do it again. And his ex-wife just every now and again just like starts dragging him down on Twitter for no reason.
That's why you can't leave me, because I'll do that to you.
Okay.
No, I won't.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
All right, so yeah, we're probably gonna spoil this. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it. I played it. It was awesome. All right, so let's start with general thoughts. What did you think about the game Thrak?
Oh boy. What's there to say? It's one of those games that has a reputation,
Yeah.
that when you get into wanting to play RPGs, almost everyone's like Chrono Trigger. Like it doesn't have an obsessive fan base like say Final Fantasy VII, or even World of Warcraft for that matter. But it's one that when you ask people, they're like, yes, you should play it. It's a very good game. And I'd known about the game. I'd known about the game forever. And I tried playing it on an emulator like 10 years ago, but I fell off of it for some reason. And so finally getting around to playing a DS copy, I felt like I should. It's one of those games I felt like I should play. So, yeah, and I played it. I think I beat it in under 30 hours, which surprised me. I thought it would take me a little bit longer. And yeah, I would say this game is pretty much a masterpiece. It's one of those big, like must-play games, I think, especially if you want to get into like RPGs or like the Super Nintendo era of gaming in general. But what I loved about it mostly is that it just kept getting better.
Yeah.
Like the first maybe 4 hours, I was like, it's good, but I don't get it. Like, what's the big deal? And then once you keep going by like 20 hours in, you're like, I get it. This game is fan-fucking-tastic. And I love the slow build. It doesn't show its hand right away. It lets you invest in everything slowly so that when it gets big, you're there and you're vibing to it.
Sounds like a good book.
Yeah, it kind of is. See, there was the thing that I loved about the game, and it's that the big, massive reveals, they kind of just like threw them out there nonchalantly. They didn't make a big deal of it. They're like, oh, we figured this out. Okay, let's continue.
It's got fantastic pacing.
Yeah, that should just click with me. Like the part in the... I'm just thinking about the part in the forest where they're having to camp out and everybody's like, oh, we feel like there's something looking at us through time and seeing all of these experiences and wanting us to see these specific things with Lavos and whatnot, but we don't know what it is. And they just kind of brushed that off to the side until the end of the game. And then at the end of the game, they're like, oh, that presence is gone. I'm like, wow, what the hell? What was that about? But then again, I just love that they did that for some reason.
For some reason, maybe it's because Karradyne is here, but that whole presence thing gave me like an Eye of Sauron vibe. That like it's always watching you. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because she's here, but but yeah, everywhere. The game has such good pacing. Like everything just it's everything sticks as long as it needs to, as far as like story and importance. Because a lot of RPGs will just drag things on and we'll just talk and never shut the fuck up. It happens a lot. But this one does not do that. And it's very refreshing. And I also found the combat to be very like modern. Like it felt good. Yeah, like I'm not huge on the whole active time battle stuff. I feel it just adds an extra level of stress for me, because I either like the straight turn-based, just like Dragon Quest, like okay, my turn, now it's your turn, or even just like action RPGs like Tales or something. Like when it's weirdly in the middle, it kind of makes me uncomfortable, unless it's like Persona or like Paper Mario with the action commands, which I like. But this, I think, did a good job of making it more active, but not like really stressing you out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They found a nice balance.
At times to me, it felt like, especially in that last fight against Lavos's core, it felt a lot like, okay, you got to choose now, you got to choose now, you got to choose now, or you're going to get attacked. You got to choose now, or you got to get attacked. And I felt that a couple of times when I was either really low on health or I had a character that was down, I had to get him up. And at least in that Lavos fight, it kind of stressed me the fuck out. I think that's why I kept losing the fight until I looked up a video on how to beat it. And I'm like, oh, so that's how you do it. And then I tried it and they killed me. I'm like, okay, so I just got to do that, but faster. And then it worked.
Yeah, that's the only time where the active gets a little hasty, but it's the final battle. I feel it should have a little stress inducing to it,
Yeah.
No, that boss fight took me a couple times too. He was
it was difficult. But
Yeah,
let me ask, who is your final three?
Chrono, Frog, and Ayla.
I was Chrono, Frog, and Magus.
See,
No waifu for you.
Nope.
See, I took Magus on one of the tries, but then all of his magic attacks are like area of effect where everything gets damaged.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't want to say that I didn't see a point to it. It just felt like if I could be more precise with my attacks, you know, using the 3-kick attack from Ayla, the frenzy from Chrono, and the leap slash from Frog, I feel like I was a bit more precise and I did the amount of damage that I needed in order to have like a flowing, kind of like a pattern to the fight instead of just pure
like in the
chaos.
final battle when you have to knock out like the center and the left and then you hit the right one, you know.
Yeah. So what I did is I worked my way from the left to the right, and then I fucked up because it was about to revive the right, and I was one hit away from killing the middle, and I killed the middle by accident, and then I revived both of them. So then I had to knock all of them down. Yeah, like, man, it had like moments where I just got frustrated in that fight, but overall I felt like it was the world-ending, big stakes type of fight where every mistake you make is going to be dire.
Yes, and it does a good job of presenting it as like this is like the fate of everything, because it feels like every JRPG is like the fate of the world is in your hands and you need to use your friendship to kill it. But this one I think treats it a lot more seriously, and and you feel the stakes, you know, especially with earlier on when you do the Lavos fight, and then like Chrono essentially sacrifices himself, you know, because when you do that, you're like, oh shit, like this is serious. So when you go back to fight it, you know those stakes.
Yeah. See, and the thing is that before you get to Lavos, if you decide to do all of the quests that are left over, you know, Ozzy, Ayla, getting whatever Ayla needs, getting the rainbow shell, all of the boss fights and the fights throughout those stories just feel like regular encounters. I don't know if I was over leveled or what, but they just didn't feel like they were huge culminating moments. Like the last fight with Aussie, you know, is this character that has been hounding you for a while, has been annoying the shit out of you, you know, throughout the Middle Ages, and then when you finally get to him, he just falls to his death.
Yeah, I think that's just down to how they pace out like the levels and the combat as well, because you never really feel like you have to grind in this game, you know. Like,
no, I mean, as long as you hit you fight every single, you know, monster that comes out your way, that is good enough for you to get the levels that you need.
Yeah. And doing all the side stories as well, which I didn't do all of them. I did most of them. There was a couple I skipped. But what I like about the side stories is you can use them as grinding, but they also detail more of the characters as well, since how centric they are. Especially the one with the one I really liked was with I think it was Merle, the scientist girl. Or
Luca.
Luca. Sorry. Yeah. Luca. And then you sorry, it's been a while. And like the whole learning about why her mom is the way that she is and the relationship with her dad and all that. Like how to solve that little like puzzle, I thought was very clever.
You
didn't do it?
No, I did it. I did it, but I failed because I had no idea what I had to do.
Oh.
Okay. So
do you want me to tell you how to do it?
I figured out how to do it, but let me explain to Karradyne what happens.
Oh dear.
So Luca's mom,
please.
Luca's mom gets her dress caught in a invention that Luca's dad did. And she starts screaming at Luca, please help me turn off the machine, put in the password, turn off the machine. And if you don't, she loses her legs.
Oh, fun.
I didn't figure it out in time, so she lost her legs. Then I looked it up, and you just have to type her name with the buttons on your controller so that it doesn't happen. So
are you serious?
Left A, right A, and you spell Lara, and that's the password, and then she doesn't lose her legs.
Oh, poor mom.
But the thing is that
No legs.
mom loses her legs. Luca comes out of the portal completely destroyed because she watched her mom lose her legs for the second time. And Robo's there dancing and shit. And he's like, oh, you can give her my legs. They're super light, aerodynamic, and you can just give me like tank threads. And it's just such a huge disparity between how serious it is and Robo's so nonchalant about your mom lost her legs.
Oh dear.
And then Luca's like, you're such a good friend.
Oh my God. Okay.
But the good thing is you can go back and try it again. Because when that happened, I thought it. Well, I just reloaded the save, but because when I did that, my first thought was, oh, like a screen's gonna come up and I have to like type something real quick.
That's what
I would push the button and nothing happened. I'm like, oh God, what the hell, you know? And then I reloaded it. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Because I don't want this woman to lose her legs, you know. So when I looked up, there was the Lara thing. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of clever. I like that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, 1995, that must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, but it always comes down to what I think about Chrono Trigger is that a lot of the little things it does really well, like the details and like exploring the world and things like that. I think we're just done so well. This game feels very meticulous, and that even though it's a short JRPG, they put a lot of content in there. And it's very replayable because it has like 13 different endings. But
now the big part that you mentioned earlier where Chrono dies, and you have to get
spoilers.
You have to get the Chrono Trigger, which is an egg. You have to get a Chrono doll to replace Chrono in the Lavos fight. When I did that, I didn't take Marley with me to the fight. And I didn't get to see that moment of the reunion between Marley and Chrono. So I had Frog and Magus and Ayla, and Frog was like, oh, you lucky son of a bitch. We just love you so much. We have to go get you. And that's the extent of that conversation. Magus didn't say anything because Magus never says anything, not even at the ending of the game.
Nope.
And Ayla was just treated kind of like a side character off to the side, not important or anything.
Like, good to see you. Glad you're not dead.
Yeah, pretty much. And after she has such a massive boner from Chrono when she meets him, like nothing after that.
Oh yeah, it is weird because it definitely feels like Marley is like who they want to be there for that. Like probably Marley, they probably want Luca to be there as well. But
yeah,
you can tell those are probably the ones they spent the most time on.
Yeah. Now, I that's one thing that I kind of didn't like about the game is that you had to have specific party members with you in specific moments. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the full story, which, whatever, fine. But I would have liked for it to have been handled like the Tales of games are handled. You know, you might have your 4 in your party, but then when an important cutscene happens, everyone's there, not just the 4.
And the skits as well.
And the skits as well, yeah. So that's the one thing that I didn't like. Other than that, I really loved the combat. I loved how it was, you know, random encounters, but not really random because all of the appearances by the monsters were scripted. I like the progression of using the TPs to actually, you know, gain new abilities that you can use in combat. I like that you have to have a specific party member if you wanted to learn his abilities fighting the entire time. I like the combination system where you can combine specific special attacks from each character to create something stronger. It's just, there's so much in this game that is done so right. And the game just looks straight up beautiful. It looks like art.
Oh, yes. It still looks great, even by like today's standards. And it's so interesting to think certain things this game does that if other like RPGs do it, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a Chrono Trigger thing. Like, with the battles, I like that they don't cut to like another battle screen. They just happen right there. You know, I really enjoy that. And recently there was like an indie direct with Nintendo and they showed off, it was like, was it Stars of the Sky or whatever it was called?
Yeah, I know which one. Crap, I think it was called like Project Blue Star or something like that. It's a Chrono Trigger inspired RPG.
Yes, and it did the same thing where it had the battles on just like the normal exploration screen. And I hadn't played Chrono Trigger yet when they showed that, so I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But then when I play Chrono Trigger, I'm like, "Oh, they ripped that from that. That's a cool modern thing that never really came over." And also, whenever an RPG has time travel, really didn't go Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
you know, because I have a theory with Chrono Trigger, the development of it, and it was developed by. For those who don't know, Chrono Trigger is notable for being the dream team, is what they called it. You had Akira Toriyama doing the art.
I love
you
him.
had the creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, and the creator of Dragon Quest working together. So you essentially had the two big JRPG guys coming together to make this game. And I feel in making this game, they wanted to right some of the wrongs with JRPG game design. The random encounters, the kind of grinding, tedious nature of it, all this kind of excessive shit that happens in JRPGs. Yeah. That I think they wanted to refine the formula they had created. And it's part of why Chrono Trigger is such a smooth experience. But if you think about it, it didn't become the standard when you think it should have. Like Final Fantasy VII, I think, became the RPG standard, even to this day, because that game blew up.
Yeah,
I know. What, you not like 7?
I don't like that it's regarded as the best Final Fantasy. It's a fine game. I just don't think it's the best. And while we're at it, Final Fantasy X is awful except for the combat.
Oh, I have 10 over here. I like 10.
I
like 10.
I can't stand any of the characters.
Is that why you scoffed when I played you that VSQ cover of that Final Fantasy X song?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like 10. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't like 10. I love 6.
I see what you're saying.
I think 8. I think 8 is interesting. I think 9 it's wonderful. 7 is okay. 4 is okay. The rest of them are, what they are.
I get it. But why I think 7 is like the standard is because of how huge it was and the way that game progresses. I think everyone's like, oh, we should just do that.
Yeah.
When like 2 years ago, Chrono Trigger was like, that's the standard you should have followed. Because then we wouldn't have JRPGs that are like 80 hours on average, like every single one of them.
Yeah.
Which is just such an issue. But that's just a theory I have with Chrono Trigger. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
The thing with 7 being so big is because, it's on PlayStation 1. A lot of people have PlayStation 1. It was the first 3D Final Fantasy game. It did polygons. It did an entirely different story to what we had seen up until the moment. We had a main character that was having an existential crisis the entire time. The game did a whole lot of firsts that hadn't been seen up until that time, and people fell in love with that. And I can understand why. I mean, if you see that train opening sequence where Cloud is riding on the train and then just basically sabotages a whole reactor, it's kind of mind-blowing for the time, but to me it just it's not as amazing as people say it is. Like, it's a fine game. It's just not amazing. It's like Uncharted and The Last of Us. I think they're okay games, but not as amazing as people make them out to be.
Uncharted is fun, but once you play like the Tomb Raider games, you realize Uncharted just because I think Tomb Raider, it's more of a game, so it's more fun.
Yeah, even though
Last of Us 1 is fantastic, but Last of Us 2 just dropped the ball. That's a whole nother discussion, but it dropped the fucking ball.
See, I think it's the other way. I think 2 is fantastic for everything they did. I think 1 is awful because it is basically the same story from the Telltale Walking Dead game with untight controls. To me, that game just plays not fun.
I mean, they're very different games, but like I think Last of Us 2, gameplay wise, they did improve a lot of things from Last of Us 1, but a lot of the story bits in 2 just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I feel, if anything, they could have just re-edited that game. If they resequenced it, I probably would like it.
I'm sorry, but certain things in that game happening where they happen in the plot just feel weird. Like,
Yeah,
why are
yeah,
you doing this now? Save this for later when it
Yeah.
it'll hit harder. But
Eh.
I'm no game designer.
See, and going back to Uncharted, the first one to me was bad. The second one was better. Third one was okay. They're getting it right. Fourth with Nolan North and Troy Baker being brothers, that was just a complete home run for me. The game was amazing. So it was so good to me that I jumped straight into the one with Chloe and Nadia.
Yeah, Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy. And I thought it played fine, but the story wasn't quite there. So I feel like since Naughty Dog has been getting all this money to make these amazing games, they've learned how to make these amazing games.
Yeah. See, Lost Legacy, the best part is Chloe and Nadia's banter the entire time.
Yeah.
Like they have, you wouldn't think those characters would have that kind of chemistry if you didn't play it. But
yeah.
See, I would like another game, if they're going to do another Uncharted, either just follow them, or I would really like one, like a prequel with Sully. Like Sully being the Nathan Drake, you know? I would love that.
Fun. That would be fun.
Sully's my favorite. He's a great character. So I would just like more Sully.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun as long as they keep the same gameplay from 4 or make it better. I'd be good with it. Now let's get back to Chrono Trigger. What was a big standout moment for you in the entire game?
The music. Honestly, that might be my favorite, like one of my favorite soundtracks in video game history. It was so good. Like every piece in every area, the town stuff, the big battle music, it all was great and it all stuck in my head. I loved it all. But I guess the standout moment, if we're relating to the music, is when you get to like the temple and like the clouds and everything, and they're playing that beautiful music as you're searching the whole thing. That really hit with me as like, this is at a very ethereal moment. Like that's when it hit me that this game is a masterpiece, like that moment.
See, I loved, there was one particular track, I don't remember where it was, but it was very bass heavy. And not bass as an EDM, but like an actual bass guitar heavy. And there were like 1 or 2 tracks that were like that I absolutely adored. And the music just sells the game. Just apart from everything that the game is, the music on top of it is just like the cherry.
Oh yeah, it's just every tune is memorable. And that battle theme. Thank God it's a good battle theme. You hear it like a million times. So I'm glad it was good.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and get in some rating. Tell me what you love about the game and your score for it.
Okay. Out of 10.
Out of 10.
I would probably give it a 9. Okay. I get maybe my only issue with it is maybe the same things that you have with some slight inconsistencies in the story. But I think a lot of that is probably, as we said, due to they want specific characters in specific moments, but they don't have the thing where they can just let you have every character, like just be in the cutscenes. And also those FMV cutscenes, which they did for the PS1 version, but came through in the DS version, they felt kind of unnecessary. Like I liked them, but they feel very pigeonholed. They're like, oh, we got Toriyama again. Let's have him do more art. But it doesn't add or take anything away. And honestly, I think I've just played RPGs that I've personally enjoyed more. Like Dragon Quest V, Dragon Quest XI, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Those are just, I've enjoyed them more, but it's not to take anything away from Chrono Trigger. I think if I was to say to anybody, if they have to play one JRPG like in their life, I would honestly say Chrono Trigger is probably the one.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this game could turn, a non-RPG player into an RPG player because it does feel like an action game, even though it's an RPG at the same time.
Yeah, it does have an action feel.
And not like a Tales of type game, but, more like a turn-based action game. Now, I would have to go with 9.5. because even though the inconsistencies were a little bit annoying, I think I loved the game a bit too much that I was able to overlook those inconsistencies. And I absolutely loved it. And I am glad that I waited till I was a 31-year-old to experience this game. Because, as a kid, I probably wouldn't have loved it as much as I did now.
I tried playing it as a teenager and I didn't get it. So
I played it when I was in my 20s and I couldn't get out of the Millennial Fair and I just gave up.
Yeah, I got stuck when you meet Robo. That's where I stopped playing.
I see.
So. But I love Robo. I used Robo a bunch, by the way. I love Robo. I even like his side quest where you essentially find the female Robo, which is like a bow tie on her head. Like that was great.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
oh my god, I can't.
Mm-hmm. And then you like fight, and then you fight the AI that's like controlling Robo. It's pretty wacky, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about all that on the next Patreon episode.
Okay, so Wednesday I'll get to hear all about it.
Yeah, or maybe tomorrow since we're both off tomorrow.
Maybe
we'll record it and have it ready for Wednesday. All right, so let's go ahead and get into. Wait! I forgot.
I was about to say, what are you doing?
That's not the right intro. Karradyne.
Oh shit.
Karradyne.
Yes.
What time is it?
It's time for Give Me the Garbage.
Is that true? Thrak, is it time for Give Me the Garbage?
Yes, we are giving the garbage.
All right, that is Give Me the Garbage. I just love how enthusiastic Thrak was when I introduced Give Me the Garbage. He was
like a dance over there,
like fist pumping and everything.
Well, the thing is, when I you can edit this out, but when I listen to the pod, I always listen to it a little bit faster. So I always hear the music a little bit faster. So I was hearing it in my head, like just.
I love it.
All right, Karradyne, tell me what's going on with Garbage.
Okay, so this week we went to a restaurant I have never visited before. Granted, a lot of the restaurants we review are restaurants I haven't visited before, but this is a fairly popular chain that I had never been to, and that is Perkins. We went to Perkins, which is where Chris wanted to go with Burger Champ, but Burger Champ did not have any Perkinses
nearby.
Around.
The closest one was 3 hours away.
Yeah, no. Yes, Burger Champ, we request that you drive 3 hours for our 1 hour podcast.
No, we're not going to make him drive 3 hours, and we're not going to make him eat something that will poison him like McDonald's.
Oh, God.
I feel like if you caught him on the right day, he'd do it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
He's such a free spirit and such an adventure loving guy that, I could see that happening.
But he also has a family. I wouldn't want him to like drag them along with him.
Just leave them behind.
I'm gonna have a me day. I'm go to Perkins and come back.
Perkins.
Okay, so yeah, we went there yesterday for like brunch, and I was not in the mood for breakfast food. So I ordered non-breakfast food, which may have been a mistake. I don't know. It's fine.
All right. So what did you have, Karradyne?
I had the chicken tender melt, and their sandwiches come with soup. You can also upgrade for like onion rings and stuff, but I was like, no, I want some soup. So I got their tomato basil with this tender melt. The tender melt is chicken tenders, bacon, pepper jack cheese on toasted sourdough. The sandwich is pretty good, and it comes with ranch. They bring you a side of ranch instead of putting it on the sandwich, which I really appreciated because then it wasn't a sloppy, falling apart mess. It actually stayed together really, really well, and I just dipped it in my ranch. It tasted very good. It could have had some more flavor, but overall, it was a very nice, crispy sandwich. Why are you laughing?
Because it just reminds me the ranch in the sandwich of, remember when we went to our friend's house and they made that buffalo chicken ranch dip and they didn't find the powder, so they put the actual ranch in it, and the ranch,
and they baked that shit. It was rancid.
The ranch curdled.
It was pretty bad. It was like blue cheese ranch. Yeah,
God,
they were struggling that day. I feel like I remember having some really interesting trips to the bathroom after we ate.
Like I had one chip with it, and I was like, I am not eating that. It tastes like pennies.
I just kept eating it. I was hungry.
It tastes like pennies, and it has a weird mouthfeel. I am not eating
Weird
that.
mouth feel.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
am not eating it.
Okay, so I got the sandwich with the tomato basil soup, and the tomato basil soup, you can put that shit in the dumpster, and the squirrels and the raccoons won't even eat it. It was disgusting. It is the worst soup I've ever had in my life. It was just fucking tomato basil soup. It was so sweet. I don't know what was wrong. And the poor waitress, well, I say poor, but like I was a little irritated with her. She came over and she's like, do you want a box for the soup? And I'm like, no. And she didn't question my reaction at all. Granted, I could have told her it was crap, but I didn't want to be a Karen.
I think poor is an accurate. I think poor is an accurate term if you're working at Perkins.
See, but the thing is, this Perkins is we have Full Sail nearby, which is a huge animation, video game design, music, and all that shit college.
It's like a digital art college.
So we have a bunch of students in that area. But for some reason, there's a Perkins there, and it attracts all the old white people.
All of
Yes,
white
it does.
people. Oh my
And
god!
when I went to Perkins, I was the youngest one there.
Yes, we even had this old little white family walk around the corner, and they're like, "No, Kathy, all the booths are taken." It's like, oh dear.
You know, it's funny. I work right behind this Perkins, and whenever me and my partner pull out so that we can go get gas and whatnot, it's 8 a.m. Perkins is packed. It could be 11 in the middle of the day. It's packed. When we get back at 2 p.m, it's still packed.
All old white people.
And all we see is white people coming in and out. And my partner's like, what the fuck is going on in there? Why is there always white people coming in and out of there?
It's popping.
Yeah, it is, apparently.
They like that sweet tomato soup, I guess.
That shit was disgusting.
It was awful.
There was no
it was
doctor in
so
that.
bad.
Now the sandwich.
Do you think they just opened a bad can of Campbell's tomato soup that day?
See,
I mean, honestly, probably. It was just so lacking in any sort of flavor.
Except
like
for
you
sugar.
could have fooled me that there was basil in it. I dumped half the container of pepper on it. It still didn't. It didn't taste like it was. No, it was sad. Very sad. Crackers didn't help. Nothing. Crackers. Oh God.
I was like, maybe she's overreacting, and it's actually
No.
meh. But
no.
no, that shit was trash. It was awful. It was god awful. I don't even like tomato soup to start with. That Thrak, what did you have?
Okay, so I went for lunch with my dad because, well, not to get too personal, but my dad's been retired for quite a few years, and he doesn't really like to leave the house. He just sits there and watches
bless him.
baseball all day.
Oh.
Yeah, he's getting a bit up there. But I was like, hey, I gotta like go to Perkins for lunch. You want to come with? And he's like, sure, why not? So we drove out there. And it's weird you say it was packed because when we got there, it was roughly in the afternoon and it was dead. There's not a soul in there. The only souls in there were old white people.
Are you sure the souls were still there?
Maybe, who knows? But I know of Perkins because it's right next to the one that I went to was right by this church that when I was younger, around like Christmas time, they would drag us there for like service or whatever. And usually like right after church, people would go to Perkins.
All right, so it kind of cut out there for a second. You said that they would drag you to church before going to Perkins?
Like back in the day, like when I was much younger, we would like do Christmas Eve at my grandparents' house. We'd go to that church and then we'd go to Perkins right after. So I always associate Perkins with the place you go after church for food. But this time I went just with my dad, just in the middle of the day for lunch. Me and him got the exact same thing, like father, like son. And we got the patty melt with fries. And what was interesting when we both ordered it,
the server, she like leaned in and says, you want to do something weird? And I'm like, oh
dear.
God, where's this going? But she said the patty melt is really good if you dip it in A1 steak sauce.
Okay.
And I was
Oh.
like, interesting.
behind that.
I was like, bring the bottle out. So she brought the bottle out. And I will say the patty melt, I thought it was really good. I really liked it. Like I quite like patty melts. So since they were dead, I must have got them like at a good time when they're just like, yeah, we'll make it fresh. It came out very fresh. Like, it wasn't amazing or anything, but I liked it. I thought it was a tasty patty melt. And putting it with the A1 steak sauce, it gave it an interesting extra like flavor to it. Like I wouldn't say I'm a steak sauce kind of guy. Like I'm of the opinion if a steak is good, it doesn't need sauce. But the steak sauce with the patty melt, it wasn't bad. I didn't mind it. And the fresh frozen fries are pretty all right too. So it was a nice lunch. It was a nice lunch. Me and my dad kind of joked around a little bit. And it was fine. It wasn't like the best meal I've ever had or anything, but it was a nice solid patty melt. So I got him at a good day.
That's pretty
I think
decent.
I had a better experience than two of you did.
Yeah, you definitely did, because
Yeah.
my shit was weird. I had the I don't remember. It's a skillet dish that they have, which has tater tots, gravy, 2 eggs, ham, bacon, and sausage, and a little bit of cheese. The tater tots were awesome. They were crunchy. They were smashed. They were covered in gravy and shit. There was way too much fucking gravy. The eggs were cooked perfect. I had them over medium, and the sausage was cut into nice little slivers. Slivers? Is that the word?
I mean, yeah, that's a word.
Strips, sausage strips.
Okay.
The bacon was really nice and crunchy. The ham was actually cooked right. It wasn't gummy. The eggs were cooked perfect. I think I said that already.
You did.
They
That's how
gave me
perfect they
hot.
were.
Yeah, they were. I'm a sucker for a good egg.
The eggs were garbage.
The eggs were garbage. The only thing that I hated was too much gravy. But luckily the tater tots stayed crunchy the entire time. And they gave us Cholula hot sauce. I put a little bit on it. I was like, oh, this is good. I put more. And I'm like, oh shit, this sauce is awful.
He literally gagged.
Yeah, the last bite. I don't know what it was. Like you would eat it and it would taste nice. And when you would swallow, something would just smack you in the back of the throat with the most rancid flavor.
Ooh, was it like old hot sauce?
Dramatic.
Oh, sorry?
No, we checked the expiration date. It was fine.
Maybe it's just that hot sauce is weird.
I might be.
To your taste buds and throat.
Because
I put it on my sandwich and I was fine.
I mean, but I did put a lot of it. And
yeah, you put way too much.
And because if they said, oh, we have hot sauce in this restaurant, it's so white that I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting some Frank's. I love Frank's red hot. But no, it's Cholula. I'm like, okay. I know there's a lot of Latinos in this area, but okay, fine. And there's just something that chases the sauce that is just plain bad. I can't put my finger on it. But I also got the French toast. I wasn't a big fan of the French toast because they were extremely sweet, even though they had dollops of salted butter on top, which helped with the sweetness. But they were still way sweeter than I wanted them to be, and they were not custardy at all, like the Cracker Barrel French toast.
That he loves.
I adore the Cracker Barrel French toast. They're so good.
I need to have that then.
No, dude, they're not a traditional French toast because they are so heavily dipped in the French toast mix that the middle stays a little bit soggy and wet with the custard that they use for it, and it is just fantastic. And they're a little bit salty too. But oh my god, I want some of those right now. And they're like $6, so
damn,
you can't go wrong with them. They're cheap and they're amazing.
Yeah. Well, me and my dad love Cracker Barrel, so we're going there next.
No,
love Cracker Barrel.
Man, dude, definitely got to get that French toast.
Did you have any pie, Thrak?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't because I was nice and full from the patty melt. I thought about having a piece of pie for the pod, but I skipped this time. But I was gonna make a joke with Cracker Barrel saying next time I go, I got to be sure the water is actually water.
What?
So okay, so there was a news story. This was
We've been living under rocks.
We might have been. Yes,
so
completely.
apparently this one guy ended up suing Cracker Barrel because they gave him a glass of water, but it wasn't water, it was like a cleaning solution, and he drank it.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it
no!
and it fucked him up pretty hard. So
No!
yeah, this was recently, within I think the last like couple years or so, but I learned about this like a
What?
month ago, and I read up on it, and it was interesting. You should check that out.
Yeah, we definitely missed that.
Wow, that is,
Okay, that was a good joke now that
is
we have
wild.
context.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to start smelling cups. Oh, I also didn't mention this. The water was bad. The water
was fine. Honey,
The water-
what do you expect from city water? Like
The water
they
in Perkins
took it
was
from the
bad.
sink. Like
Yeah, they just get the
Yeah.
water out of the sink. Yeah,
so he
I
ordered
just had
an
a
apple
Coke.
juice.
I just had a Coke, and I normally don't like get soda at restaurants, but I was just like, let me just get a Coke. So
See, the water was so bad that I told the lady, "Can I get some apple juice?" And Karradyne's like, "You're a child."
At least she didn't bring it out in a juice box.
I would have been fine with that.
Oh my
Shit.
god.
she just gives you a Capri Sun.
Like there you go, like
I
a
would have asked
roaring
for
apple
one if
Capri
she'd
Sun.
had Capri Suns.
The
Hell
what?
yeah. I said I'd ask for one if she had Capri Suns. Hell yeah.
No, we had pie. What was your pie?
I had key lime pie, which is my favorite. Yeah,
Ooh.
but not at Perkins. Not my favorite at
Okay.
Perkins.
I do like key lime pie though.
Oh god, it's so good.
It's not.
So good.
See,
me about the
this
pie.
thing, key lime pie, Perrier. I like green shit, whatever.
Oh
Man,
god.
you're just hitting like specific things off of my range.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
like the Venn diagram is like completely separated.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed out by my food. I mean, the sandwich wasn't bad. It just, I don't know, it was just kind of lackluster, I guess. So I was really excited about the pie after he talked me into ordering the pie.
Oh, Karradyne's watching the Lord of the Rings thing, so we'll be back in a
That
second.
was quick.
All right, so Karradyne watched the trailer for Lord of the Rings, but first she has something important to say.
I
What were you
do?
saying?
Oh yeah. So I never really got into video games. We had a Nintendo 64 when I was growing up, and we had Mario Kart and what's that game that I always call by the wrong name? Galactic Galaga.
Galaga?
I always want to call
Galaxian?
it Galactica. Galaga with
Galaga.
the aliens and the shooting the planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. I liked that game.
Okay. So, what were you gonna say? Tell me the thing about the trailer or whatever.
Oh, the trailer?
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about video games. I don't know.
Oh, are we talking about video games?
Okay, after seeing that like 30-second trailer, I have more faith in what they are doing. Some of these pictures that they've been releasing have me really concerned. But seeing the trailer makes me feel better. I think it's something that I can really appreciate even if they don't stick to the lore. I'm trying to go into it with as open of mind as I can. I'm trying really hard. Because
So
like,
is this-
obviously? Oh, go ahead.
So is this series, is it based on a specific Lord of the Rings book, or is there just making up new lore around it?
So it should be fairly Silmarillion focused.
Okay.
But they've also said that the first 2 episodes are going to be like 3 hours long and basically explain everything that happened in the first age. Then the rest of the series is going to be the second age, which happens before the third age, obviously, which is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Where all that happens, all that jazz.
Yeah, that reminds me.
But
I have the Silmarillion on my bookshelf. I tried reading it, and it's difficult. It's a
It's a
difficult.
lot. It's very, very different.
Oh.
It's like reading the Bible, literally. It is that complex and dense. It's a lot.
Yes. But I will say I've read The Hobbit, and I
Yes.
really liked it. The Hobbit
Yes.
was great,
And I've always
It's
been
also
meaning
written
to
for children.
and I've been meaning to read the books proper because I've always like seen the
Mhm.
movies and all that. So
Mhm.
hopefully this year I'll get to read the books proper because I know they have those really nice audiobook versions of them.
Yes,
So
Andy
I did that.
Serkis. He's so good.
Yeah, the Hobbit one was great when he came in for the Gollum scene, and I think it's chapter 5.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
my heart. My heart.
Okay, so going back to the pie.
Okay, yeah, the pie. Okay, so
To disappointment.
yeah,
From
exactly.
one disappointment
So-
of a trailer to another.
Like, okay, so the pie itself is not bad. It's so hard to explain how it was like I felt like it wasn't tart enough, but it was also too much tart. Like I felt like it was just tart and not lime tart, if that makes sense. Does that make sense
So
at
kind of
all?
like yogurty tart and not
But not
lemony
lime
tart.
focused.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was telling him, I'm like, honey, I don't know if this was like next to a pumpkin pie or something, but I keep getting these like pumpkin spice notes and it doesn't make any sense at all. So he gets further into his pie and he's like, wait, I tasted too. So we then concluded that there's something in the crust
They
that
probably
has a
put,
pumpkin spice like taste to it.
yeah,
I don't know.
they
It
probably
was
put
really
pumpkin
off-putting.
spice in the crust. And I had the Heath pie.
But I think it's something that tastes like pumpkin spice to our taste buds. Why would they put pumpkin spice in their crust?
Pumpkin spice doesn't
Why?
have pumpkin in it, does it?
I don't.
It's just
I
a
don't
mix
know
of
anything.
spices. It's like
I don't know.
clove and cinnamon and
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe it was leftover crust from like Thanksgiving time when they make everything pumpkin spice.
It was real fucking weird. It was so
Yeah,
weird.
I couldn't imagine pumpkin spice and key lime. That just
No.
seems weird to me.
See,
was very,
it kind
very
of worked in
strange.
mine because I had the Heath pie and it was very vanilla pudding forward.
Wasn't it Heath like cheesecake pie?
No,
Oh, I thought it
Oh,
was.
what's the cheesecake?
I thought you got the cheesecake pie. Yeah.
Then that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why it's so vanilla pudding flavored and then just a little bit of heat nose throughout it. I did appreciate that it has like a layer of heat between the crust and the pie itself, the filling. That was really nice. But the freaking pumpkin spice flavor was just weird. I used to be a truck driver, and there was one weekend that I got stuck at a truck stop that only had a Perkins, and I had to eat Perkins for 3 days, all 3 meals, because there was nothing else around. I feel like I ate the entire menu, and by the last night, I was ready to blow my brains out because I could not find anything in that menu that sounded appealing, especially since I ordered steak and potatoes, and they gave me gravy with a little bit of potatoes and steak. Really, really bad.
Yeah.
Uh,
We had a complete 180 experiences, I see. Yeah.
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 Now, I am going to say I did like this a lot more than I thought I would have. So for me, this is it's an okay. It's a pretty okay place to eat. Like if we had no other option and only Perkins to eat, we would stay hungry until we got to a Waffle House. But it was pretty okay. Now, what did you think, Karradyne?
It was like half garbage, half okay.
So a meh.
Yeah. it was yeah. I'm not in any hurry to get back there. No hurry.
What about you, Thrak?
Weirdly enough, I would give it like a light garbage.
A light
Because, I mean, what I
gourmet.
had was-
Almost garbage.
Like it was like what I had was very simple, but maybe it was just I caught him on a good day. But the patty melt was good. I thought it was a solid patty melt. Maybe next time try that because I thought it was pretty good.
So
next
I
time in
didn't-
like
I didn't
several
get-
years.
in several years.
yes, yes. But now Waffle House, now that is god tier garbage.
I don't know about God tier, but
God tier, god
Oh, okay.
tier. It is Chrono Trigger tier garbage. I don't care.
I can't.
It Waffle House is
See,
awesome.
I've had
but-
similar.
yeah.
See, I've had similar experiences with burger of going to Waffle House at like 3 a.m, but we're not just there all night. It was usually back in the day. I used to play in a band, and when we'd be done with the gig at like 2 a.m, we'd be like, oh, let's just go to Waffle House, and we'd raid the place for like a couple hours, and it was always fun, and the food was always good. And see, a part of Waffle House is the experience when you go there and like you kind of like hang out with the servers and the cooks. It's the whole feeling.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see how that would be fun. Fortunately, we just stay home all the time. We don't go anywhere. We have too many video games and books to experience to go anywhere.
Oh God, yeah. That shelf behind me, it's full.
Hey, you see that? That's all of my entertainment stuff, and there's like 3 rows of just PlayStation video games there. So
yeah, you can't see it, but I have like 2 shelves of Switch games, 2 shelves of GameCube games, and like Xbox stuff. So I got a lot.
Yeah, we got work for a long time. Now, so overall, Perkins is okay.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
We got to find a happy medium here.
Because almost garbage.
I can live with okay.
Meh, that's middle of the road. Now let's go ahead and get in some housekeeping. First off, Patreon, $2 a month. We finished Chrono Trigger Thursday. So yeah, you go listen to that. It's fun. Remember to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Novel Console, and on Facebook at facebook.com/novelconsole. Don't forget that you can also tell your friends that they can find the podcast on most major podcast streaming platforms so that they can listen on YouTube by searching for Novel Console. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment, which we'd be ever so grateful. It would also be awesome if you could leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts so that more people can find us. We're also on Good Pods, and we're working with somebody else to be on their platform, which might come sometime this week if I remember to do it. You can also email us at anovelconsole@gmail.com. We will read your email on the show. And our art was done by Metamorphic A on Instagram. Thrak,
yo,
do you have anything you would like to plug?
I can plug a dead podcast if you want.
Sure. Whatever you would like to plug, now's your time.
Well, for funsies, why not? I used to run a podcast with a friend of mine, and it was called Frame by Frame. And we were both big fans of the band King Crimson. And so each episode was breaking down their discography by like song. And we got through pretty much all of the 70s era before we stopped. And that's for reasons relating to the co-host that I will not make public. Let's just leave it at that. So that podcast is dead, but I keep it up because people still listen to it. It still gets like a lot of views per week. And every once in a while I get an email because we set up an email for it. And every once in a while I'll get somebody who's listening to the show, like email me about the show. And I always chuckle at it. So, cause there's literally an episode where I tell people it's ending and, but that's just how I am. But yeah, there's that. I don't know if you want to yell at me. I'm in the Codex Discord. I'm sure, Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty sure Dave, Will, and Burger Champ are listening right now. So
hi guys. Hi. But if you want to, I'll plug my Twitter. Why not? I'm at Thrak94. So if you want to yell at me on Twitter. Yeah, because Thrak is a King Crimson reference. So
I see.
But that's me.
All right.
Other than that, you'll find me, just playing games, chilling out,
like we all do, just trying to relax.
Exactly.
All right. So, Karradyne, anything else you would like to say before we end the show?
No.
Okay. Thrak, anything you would like to say before we end the show?
Y'all should play Dragon Quest. I really like Dragon Quest.
Hasn't that been on a couple of your backlog of Dooms?
Yes, it has. It pretty much has been on every single backlog of Doom, and it never gets picked.
That's because you keep putting shit like Cyberpunk on there. Of course, everybody's gonna go for that.
Yeah, Cyberpunk's coming soon.
Well, next time, if you do a Dragon Quest, let me know and I'll be here.
All right,
we'll talk about it.
All right, definitely.
I'll read something else. I'll read a book about dragons.
All right. So, Thrak, it was awesome having you on. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
It's a great time.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
And you're welcome to come back whenever you want.
Sounds good.
All right. So, with that, I guess we end the show. You both want to say goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.